The story begins when woman entering the room. She very surprised when she sees an adorable child. She wants to touch him, but he understands that it is too rude and just come by to say hello. But the boy gets up in horror. She invites him to go for a walk. The boy was very scared and cried and asked, "Did I do something wrong? If I did something wrong, please tell me, I'll fix it." She doesn't understand why he is crying. "Just please, don't be so scary." She wants to explain, but the boy is crying. She didn't know what to do. But suddenly his dad comes and calms him down. Dad looked at her with an evil look and said, "Let me guess. You told him he's a pain again. In case you forgot, you did give birth to him. How about showing him a bit of love for a change?" She wants to explain, but he takes the child and leaves. She panics a lot, saying why of all the characters she became an evil mother. One day when she opened her eyes, she ended up in the body of an evil mother who is hated by his husband and son from the novel she read. She woke up in the body of Anneriche von Balua, evil mother from the novel. Anneriche, born in the noble house of Jackson, was the epitome of arrogance. After the wedding, Anneriche really wanted to give birth child from Alexei, her husband. "Why do you keep insisting on sleeping with me? Why do you want to have a child with me? Isn't it obvious? It is to be accepted as the lady of House Balua." So she said to Alexei. But Anneriche never loved her son Elliot. When Elliot matured, will become the main character of the novel. And Anneriche will mock the main character Liliana and even see her to death. After that she is executed. After this, Elliot and Liliana will get married and everyone will live happily ever after. That is how the novel ends. Anneriche realizes that if she follows the original story, she will die. And Elliot and Liliana are her favorite couple. She doesn't want to be hated by her favorite couple. But Elliot is already 7 years old, which means that he has been accumulating hatred for him for 7 years. But suddenly she remembers Liliana. As the romance develops, Alexei and Elliot will start to take care of Liliana and fall in love with her. But what if I win Liliana over to my side? We haven't even met in the story yet. What if in 10 years she says that I'm a good person, she said, so she can improve her relationship with her family. After that she praises herself and goes to look for Liliana. Thus Anneriche took the first decisive step towards her salvation from death. And so she came to the orphanage Rondini. Where does Liliana currently live? Liliana was abused in this orphanage. Liliana was born the only daughter to a family with relatively little power, but a long history, House Everett. After losing her parents in a tragic accident, she was sent away to a distant relative, Baron Rondini. The Rondinis bear a deep-rooted resentment toward Liliana's family for being better off, and accepted Liliana solely for access to House Everett's riches. But out of jealousy for the Everett family, Rondinas abused the young Liliana. "How dare they lay a hand on my future daughter-in-law?" Anneriche says angrily. "Calm down." She knocks on the door. A little girl opens the door and asks what she needs. When she sees her, she understands that this is Liliana, and she is very excited, and tells herself that she is definitely an angel. After she calmed down, she asked Liliana where Baron Rondini was now. "Do you mean Director Rondini, miss?" Liliana says in a frightened voice. "Director Rondini? Liliana doesn't live in an orphanage, does she? How do they feel about you?" Anneriche thinks. Anneriche says yes, but Liliana suddenly got nervous. Liliana thinks that Anneriche is from another orphanage and told her, "If you've came from another orphanage, could you, please, not take me there?" Anneriche don't understand anything. Liliana speaks in a timid voice. "I'll just disappoint you, miss. I'm bad at working, I'm clumsy, and I eat too much. It takes a lot of money to feed me, and..." Anneriche interrupts her and asks, "What are you so afraid of?" And she says that Director Rondini tell her that other orphanages are awful place. "What?" asked Anneriche. "She said you're whipped every day and slapped if you don't work hard. She said you're locked in a room alone for a week if you don't listen to the director. She also told me that our orphanage lets slow kids like me stay. But I'd be beaten all the time anywhere else," answered Liliana. Hearing this, Anneriche becomes furious, seeing her terribly dirty clothes and wounds on her hands. She gets even angrier. When she calmed down, she told Liliana that she was not from another orphanage. And Liliana asks her, "Then why did you look for me and why do you need a director?" Stroking Liliana on the head, she answered, "Actually, I am here to take you home with me, Liliana. Silly me, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Anneriche von Balua." Hearing the name Balua, she is greatly surprised and says to herself, "Balua is the surname of the only duke in the empire. I heard members of House Balua can drive down birds from the sky with just their gaze. But what would a lady of such a great family want with me?" "I'm the mother of your betrothed, Elliot von Balua," Anneriche said. "Betrothed?" surprised said Liliana. "That's right, dear. Why don't we talk more inside?" Having said so, Anneriche took Lilian and they went inside the orphanage. Entering the shelter, Anneriche is surprised that the shelter is better than she imagined. And the kids look healthy. But suddenly she sees how Liliana picks up garbage from the floor. And also puts everything in order. And then she realizes that Liliana does all the work in the shelter alone. This girl is barely 7 years old. Yet she's already accustomed to restless toiling. She was abused. That was the only sentence written of it in the novel. But Liliana's struggle day after day shouldn't be summed up in one little sentence, says Anneriche, but Liliana interrupts her saying that we have come. Knocking on the door, Liliana says that it is her aunt. "You good-for-nothing louse. What did I tell you? When my daughter comes, never interrupt me," shouting out the director. But the director is very scared when he sees Anneriche. "Care to explain yourself, Baroness Rendini? Why is my future daughter-in-law living not at your home, but at the orphanage? And why, if she is a distant niece, does she not call you aunt but Director Rendini? It's almost like she's an orphan herself," Anneriche says angrily. "Might we discuss this in a more appropriate location?" says Director. But Anneriche suddenly sees the daughter of the Baroness Rendini and the splendid desserts they brought her. Realizing that Baroness Rendini does not give anything like Liliana, she is very angry. Coming closer, she said, "Your daughter gets to enjoy these scrumptious treats and tea, and wear such lovely clothes. Meanwhile, why are Liliana's clothes so shabby? Even a maid is given better clothes." "Your Grace, I can explain. Just please calm down said Baroness Rendini in a frightened voice. "Calm down? How can I remain calm after seeing the state of this girl?" Anneriche said loudly. The director was very scared. She's never cared before. Why is she doing this all of a sudden? We paid good money to keep the Baluas out of our hair. There's no one in House Balua more reliable than I. That's what that head maid told me. I thought we were past this. All the reports I regularly sent to Duke Balua were well received. There was nothing that could have raised suspicions," the director said to himself. But Anneriche interrupted her and said, "Baroness Rendini, I'm thinking that it's time I take Liliana to live with us." "Excuse me, what do you mean?" "We're Liliana's relatives," the director answered. "Funny you say that. I am the one who will become Liliana's mother-in-law. Baroness Rendini, it seems that you take me for a fool. Despite you showing me the state of Liliana, you insist on keeping her here," Anneriche said in an angry voice. The director realized that she was at a disadvantage and responded, "Things will change from now on, your graces. This will never happen again. And Liliana, I'm sure Liliana wants to stay here with us." Anneriche is very surprised at what she said. After the director kneels in front of Liliana and screams, Liliana, we are family. We raised you for 7 years. It'd be ridiculous for you to leave now, wouldn't it? Right, Lily? But Anneriche stopped her and says, look here, Baroness Rendini. Are you really manipulating a child? Right in front of me? Manipulating? Whatever do you? The director asks in a frightened voice. And Anneriche answers her, pressuring her by saying you actually raised her. Is manipulation. It must be such a pity, Baroness Rendini. Now, you will no longer be able to fleece us for money, on the pretense of raising Liliana. After that, Anneriche turns to Liliana and says, from now on, I'd like it if you would come live with me, and let me become your guardian. How about it, Liliana? If you don't want to, just say no. There are plenty of places you can live, so just think. No, I'll go. I want to go with you, Your Grace, Liliana said loudly. After that, Anneriche takes Liliana and they leave the shelter. On the way, Liliana suddenly cries. Anneriche asks her what happened. But Liliana says that she still doesn't believe in it and is just very happy. Anneriche holds Liliana's hand and says, Liliana, you don't have to hold your tears back. But let me tell you something important. You will have a happy life at our home. You don't have to worry. Yes, Your Grace. Happy, says Liliana. After that, they go for new clothes for Liliana. Anneriche really likes Liliana's clothes. And she buys some more. But this is not enough for her and she buys all the clothes in the store for Liliana. Liliana says that she can't accept all these clothes. But Anneriche tells her that she is the bride of the House of Balua and she must accept all this. And Liliana has no choice but to agree. After she left the store, people are very surprised when they see Anneriche with a child. And they say, what kind of child is that who can hold hands with the Duchess of Balua? It's rather bizarre, I'd say. In fact, the Duchess doesn't have the right temperament for children, they said. And suddenly they realize that Anneriche heard everything. They are very scared, thinking that they will have problems. And although to explain to Anneriche. But Anneriche says, it's fine, I understand. Liliana is just so endearing that it's impossible to keep your eyes off her, isn't it? When they hear it, they say, Who is this woman? What have you done with the Duchess? And so they came home. Seeing Liliana's mansion is very surprised and says, it looks like a palace for a princess. But when they see inside the mansion, they say, no, it's like the palace of the Empress. Anneriche gets very excited seeing Liliana's reaction. But suddenly she notices Elliot. Anneriche rejoices that this time he does not run away. And now Elliot sees Liliana. They watch each other for a while. But Anneriche interrupts them and says, say hello, Liliana. This is my son, Elian von Balua. Hearing this, Liliana greets Elliot and says his name. Elliot blushes a lot. Liliana's your betrothed, Elliot. My betrothed. Yes, don't you remember, you have a fiancée. So treat her well from now, all right, says Anneriche. And Elliot agrees. Elliot walks closer to Liliana and asks, did my mother yell at you or anything? I mean, did she call you a pain? Tell you to go away or push you? Anneriche hear it all, but can't do anything. because everything Anneriche has done cannot be fixed in a day. No, not at all. She didn't do anything like that. She didn't. No, actually. Your mother is a very, very good person, says Liliana. She saved me from a terrible place. And she got me this dress I'm wearing. I think she's... Liliana wants to continue, but suddenly her stomach growls violently. Liliana blushes a lot. After that they go to dinner. And now the night has come. The butler is welcomed by the Duke. Duke asks about Elliot. But the butler says that he is sleeping. I have something to tell you, Your Grace. Today, Her Grace brought Lady Liliana from the orphanage to live here, said the butler. Hearing this, the Duke said angrily, Anneriche brought Liliana here. That woman. What is she scheming? After that the butler tells him everything. Liliana was treated like a servant. It appears so, Your Grace. But Meg had not once said. Lady Liliana is having a lovely time there. The Duke understands that something is wrong here, and tells the butler to find out about everything. After that he goes to Elliot. But suddenly he wakes up. And they hug each other. The Duke sees the glass and asks what is it. I had some hot cocoa. I thought Meg didn't let you have anything sweet before bed, says the Duke. Meg didn't give me the cocoa. No? Then who did? Mother did. Duke freezes. What's with her? Why does she keep acting so different? Forget it, it's no use, says the Duke. After that he puts Elliot to sleep. And leaves. Unbelievable. This can't be real. Why is that cursed woman paying any attention to Elliot, even just a moment ago? Screams Meg, Elliot's nanny and head maid. There's no need to be so tense, Elliot. I just came to give you some hot cocoa. Hey, Meg. Yes. Didn't Mother seem awfully kind today? She didn't even yell at me this morning. And she just came to give me hot cocoa. My lord, I don't want to see you get hurt. Just think about how Her Grace normally treats you. As nice as it is that you weren't treated poorly today. It may not last. I worry that you're getting your hope up, my lord. It'll just hurt that much more when Her Grace goes back to normal. You think so? Don't let it get to you, my lord. I will always be by your side. Elliot says yes. After that, Meg asks Elliot if he is upset. Anneriche treats Liliana so well, not him. Why would I be upset? Just because I was treated badly doesn't mean everyone else should be treated the same way. It's a little sad, but still. When I see Mother being so nice to Liliana, it makes me happy. And Liliana's just so pretty, Elliot said. All right, my lord, it's getting late. You should sleep. Let me take that hot cocoa for you. It's gotten cold now, so it probably doesn't taste as good. We should throw it away. No, I'll drink it. This is the first thing Mother has ever given me, Elliot said happily. Lord Elliot is starting to waver. I must do something about this, Mag said angrily.